The material in this episode may be triggering for some individuals, and I encourage those who may be affected to prioritize their mental health and seek support if needed. This episode discusses sensitive and distressing topics, including the death and mutilation of a minor. Listener discretion is strongly advised. Motherhood is the biggest gamble in the world. Yeah, well, this chick crapped out.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Sunday, September 14th, 2025, and your girl is exhausted both mentally and physically, okay? So listen, it's my work weekend, and whoo child, my clone needs a clone. But, I'm pushing through and making the best of it that I know how. I've got new classes starting this week. Oof, yikes on bikes. But everything is done with a purpose. I've got school, work, the books, the podcasts, not to mention being a mother to these little knucklehead boys. Jesus, Devontae Christ, they are trying me lately. And, dealing with some other things that I'm going to address later on, which will kind of explain my little, I guess you could say, shakiness these last few weeks or last month rather, but I'll get into that later. Like it's a lot going on, and I'm trying to handle it the best that I can, but it'll all be worth it very soon. I got a lot of stuff coming up. September 20th is my book signing at Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, Georgia. I'll be in the building from 12 noon to 6 p.m., and I'm excited about that. Then my graduation got switched from December to January. Still graduating, but damn, it's like, okay, y'all done added another month. Ugh. And as I mentioned before, the October live show has been canceled, but a new one is in the works for January 2026 that I'm just going to do myself. Like I said, we'll get into all of that later because it's a lot that has to be addressed. But for now, y'all know we got to get into this episode, okay? So, what y'all sipping on? Myself, I am sipping on this new AU vodka. It's like a strawberry milkshake. I was a little leery about it, but it tastes actually good. And then it probably doesn't help that I got some nachos as my snack today. Like, I am going to have the worst heartburn, okay? Like, I swear water has been giving me heartburn lately. I don't know, maybe it's a part of, aging or getting old. I don't wanna say getting old because 'cause I'm getting better. Maybe that's it, I don't know. But I got my drink and my snack, and I am ready to give y'all a fabulous episode. So let's get into it. Hop on in and buckle up, baby, because we gonna need like Imma say a quarter tank of gas as we head to Kansas City, Missouri, 1999. Oh, and we gonna make a trip to Oklahoma too, okay? We ready to go? Y'all ready to ride? Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Erica Green, victim, Betty Brown, Erica's foster grandmother, Thurman McIntosh, Harrell's grandfather, and the infamous murderers of the week, Erica's mother, Michelle Johnson, and Erica's stepfather, Harrell Johnson. Michelle Marie Pierce was born January 9th, 1975. Pretty much early on, she had a lot of bad times that she went through, and I can only assume a lack of parental guidance. So, pretty much from her teenage years, she was in some shit. At 13 years old, she met the man that would become her baby daddy, Larry D. Green. And when the two met, they fell in love heavy. They were doing the typical teenage love affair, the "Ooh, I love him," and the "He loved me," and, of course, "We gonna be together forever." They were really inseparable. They were young teenagers hopped up on hormones and Skittles, honey. And pretty much as soon as they met and hooked up, she fucked up because she started popping out babies like Henny Penny. After 3 years of them being together, when Michelle was about 16 or 17 years old, around 1990, she has her first kid, Jasmine. And then together, the two of them had four other kids: Michaela, Alicia, Larry Jr., and then baby Erica. So 1992 comes around, and Michelle is 17 years old and she's pregnant again. This time she gives birth to Michaela, and it doesn't take her long to become pregnant with her third, Alicia. And this time she finds herself in really hot water because CPS is looking for her at this point. They're saying that she failed to protect two of her kids, not one, but two, from physical abuse. And so the kids get taken away, but she still got her, little bun in the oven. So in 1993, she gives birth to Alicia, and shockingly, the baby tested positive for cocaine. Now, at this point, both Erica and Larry were into some pretty heavy drugs. And pretty much all of the babies that she has now had are taken away because Jasmine and Michaela had been taken, and then Alicia gets taken right after birth because she tested positive for cocaine. So they were moving around a lot and had moved to Illinois. And Michelle didn't care that she was pregnant. She was still going to do what she wanted to do. And that meant doing drugs. And she had just had Alicia taken away. So time goes on. And this time she gets pregnant with Larry Jr. Now, she and Larry had moved back to Oklahoma at this point, but DHS wasn't letting up on her ass. They find out that she's still on drugs while she's once again pregnant. And she don't give a fuck that she's got these babies that she's making. It don't matter to her. And then Larry Jr. gets taken away because now she's getting charged with endangering the welfare of her child. Rightfully so. So she and Larry kept it pushing, and she's now pregnant with baby number five. She's lost all her children to the system, and right in the middle of her pregnancy, her man gets in trouble with the law for assault and gets a 10-year sentence. What kind of assault did you do for 10 years? Jesus. But now Michelle has to go through this pregnancy by herself. But then Shawty Girl ends up committing larceny and she gets arrested. Next thing you know, she's taken to jail and sentenced to 6 months in prison. So she gets transferred to the Maybelle Bassett Correctional Center, where the judge revokes her probation for some other convictions that she had done. And so she gets locked up and she has to do 6 months in prison. And a few months after getting there, on May 15th, 1997, Michelle gives birth to Erica Michelle Marie Green. Now, at this point, Larry's in prison and so is she. But Larry's still trying to, do what he can for his baby girl because that's his daughter. So he tells Michelle, "Don't worry about it. I'm going to try to see who can come and get her." So he reaches out to some of his family members and they're like, "Listen, you better call grandma." So he calls his grandmother to let her know what was going on. And, he's like, "Grandma, I need help. Michelle's in prison and I ain't getting out no time soon. So, like, can you help, please?" Listen, grandma had been there for them other four kids. She couldn't take it no more. She was fed the fuck up with him. But, she was like, "You know what? All right, baby, let me see what I can do." And so she told him about her friend named Betty Brown. Now, Betty Brown is one of those individuals that everybody in the neighborhood loves. She takes care of everybody's babies. Like, Betty reminds me a lot of my godmother. She was the type of woman that was literally the neighborhood babysitter. And, she had everybody's baby at one point that she was taking care of. And that's how Betty was. Now, I'm going to call her Miss Betty because, again, she reminds me of my godmom. May she rest in peace. Miss Betty had helped take care of like almost 200 kids in her lifetime. Listen, that is a big deal. I lived with my godmom for a while as a child, and I would see her taking in other kids and, babysitting them and caring for them. Sometimes she never charged parents anything, parents would give her what they could. She was just that motherly, that nurturing. She had a son herself. Unfortunately, her son died, at a very early age. And she just became that woman in the neighborhood that everybody knew was the nurturer, that everybody knew, okay, Miss Gladys is going to be there for these babies no matter what. And that's how she was. So may my godmother, Miss Gladys, rest in peace. But when I was doing the research, this is what Miss Betty reminded me of. Like, that's some true old school village raising. Like, when they say a village, it takes a village to raise your child, that's what it means. You have that village. So, anyway, Larry's grandmother calls Miss Betty and it's just like, hey, that grandson of mine done got himself in some trouble. I swear that boy just don't know how to act right. And his little girlfriend just had another one of them babies and she in prison too. We just need your help and maybe taking care of her for a short while. And Miss Betty thinks about it, and of course, she's all for it. Of course, baby, I got you. I'll help. So she contacts the prison to see what needs to be done to go get baby Erica. And they tell her, we need you to come up here with your ID, and you're basically just going to sign a form that says you're taking custody of the child until Michelle gets out. And that at any point, if Michelle says she wants her child, you got to give her back. So Miss Betty agrees. She goes to the prison with her ID, and they told her all she needed was her ID, but she actually needed two forms. So she ends up going back to her car to get her Sam's Club card. Like, it's supposed to be a backup, which is crazy to me, but we're going to get into that later. So she ends up getting her Sam's Club card, and they give her a form to fill out that's literally one page. Like, it's like, here's baby Erica. Enjoy raising her temporarily. And even though her mother was on drugs for a good majority of her pregnancy before being incarcerated, it didn't say anything about her having any type of birth defects or, anything like that. Now, I don't know if DHS tested her to see, if she had crack cocaine in her system too, like the other babies, but Erica came out such a beautiful baby. And when Miss Betty came and she got to the prison and she signed that paperwork and she took her, oh honey, she took one look at her and it was just like, "Ooh, I'm gonna love on her." And she did just that. Miss Betty really raised that baby well, and had her looking so pretty and adorable and cute. She would take her to church and, Erica would be all prim and proper and dolled up. She would have these cute little dresses on and, everybody at the church just loved her like she was everybody's baby. She would sing in the choir, like sometimes just getting up and just storming up there like not going to choir practice, not knowing what's going on. She was like, "Nope, Imma praise the Lord today." That's what I'm talking about. Listen, raise these babies up, right? I love it. But, she was beaming with pride, because Miss Betty knew that she was taking care of this baby. And Erica was happy and healthy growing up there. She was a typical child that loved things like Barney and Teletubbies and, always singing, dancing, and just being a sweet child. Meanwhile, Michelle did her time in prison and she got out, but she didn't immediately go back to get Erica. I mean, which is fine, because it's not like you're gonna have your stuff together the day that you get out of prison. But she gets out and she's going on with her life. Larry, he's still in prison, so it's not like, she can be with him anymore. She done moved on and got her a new man, Mr. Harold Johnson. Harold LaRon Johnson was born September 7th, 1979. And around the time that he met Michelle, Harold was pretty much a typical nigga that was looking for some pussy. And Michelle, she was the supplier. Michelle had kind of, started hooking on the low. And baby, she was slanging that thing everywhere, just hot pockets. Harrell was his, little Carolina River cricket looking ass. He wanted it. So they started fucking around and, he's pretty much feeling her. And I mean, they started kicking it heavy. So Harrell had a baby by another chick that was fairly young. Now, I'm not sure where the birth mother was, but this baby was like 6 months old. So during all of this time, Erica is still with Miss Betty, and Michelle is coming to visit every now and then. Okay, now remember, when Michelle got locked up, she was pregnant with Erica. Okay, she had Erica in prison. She only was supposed to do 6 months. Okay, So pretty much she birthed Erica and could have came and got her immediately after, but Erica was with Miss Betty for at least 3 years, okay? Because she came to pick her up at 3. But we gon' yeah, just keep that in mind, all right? So like I said, if she would go visit her, so Erica knew who her mother was. And then in April of 2001, I guess Michelle decided that, she was ready to be a mother again. And she was thinking to herself, you know what? I really miss my baby. And I guess the little short visits wasn't cutting it no more. And so Michelle and this ratatouille looking ass nigga talked, and they were just like, yes, it's good that we want to be a family. Maybe she felt some type of way because he had his little girl and that made her miss her babies. Erica was pretty much one of the only few children that she had that wasn't in the system at the time. She literally was the only child that wasn't in the system. And so she came to Miss Betty's house and she told her, listen, I want to take Erica to a family reunion. And Miss Betty, she didn't have an issue with it because this is her mom. So, she was just going to go to a family reunion and then come back. So Miss Betty packs Erica a bag and she hugs her and tells her bye. And Erica's excited to go with her mom, but at the same time, she's like not wanting to leave Miss Betty either. She wants to go, get back to her house where there's structure and everything, and her church is there. She was ready to go to church and see, babies. See, babies at that age, they love going to church. Like when you hit them teenage years, that's when you got to drag their asses in there. But I digress. But yeah, Erica was definitely ready. So she gets in the car with Michelle and Harrell for what she thinks is a family reunion. The only thing is, they don't actually go to a family reunion. Instead, Michelle, Harrell, his 6-month-old daughter, and now Erica go all the way to Kansas City, Missouri, and they stay with one of his cousins, LaWanda Driscoll. And at first, Erica's good being around her mom. She's in a new environment with new people. She's excited. But at the same time, she wants to be with Grandma Betty. And soon she gets to missing her foster grandmother more and more. And she's telling her mom, I want to go home. But Michelle's not trying to hear that. Like, she's like, no, you are at home. Now, I do have to point out that both Michelle and Harrell have crazy records, okay? Michelle had a record from 1997 where she had been convicted of larceny. That's when she gets locked up initially. And Harrell, oh, good Lord, that man had a record too. He had a record for various things like assault with a dangerous weapon, possession of some sort of shotgun, but that comes a little bit later, as you're going to find out. But around the time that they came to get Erica, Harrell had hit a dude with a brick and was wanted for assault. Now, it was stated that he had also put a gun in the mouth of another man and shot him, but luckily for this punching bag built ass nigga, the case was dismissed. But he did have a warrant for his arrest. And Michelle's luck wasn't any better. She was out there passing bad checks. And so the state of Oklahoma was looking for her because they wanted her to go to jail for that and to pay child support. Remember, she didn't have any of her kids, and the state was taking care of them. So the state was like, say, homegirl, you gonna need to run us some of them coins, boo. And so there was a warrant for her arrest too. Looking for a book that resonates with your soul? Well, look no further than Arthur K, a master ghostwriter, storyteller, and author who weaves tales across multiple genres, from heartwarming romance to gripping urban horror. Whether you're searching for a contemporary romance that sweeps you off your feet or street lit that reflects the realities of life, Kay's writing speaks to the heart of every reader. Her work also passionately highlights the Black Lives Matter movement, bridging narratives that matter. Dive into the journey of discovery, empowerment, romance, and connection through Kay's incredible reads. Visit www.mizk.com today and dive into a world of unforgettable tales. That's www.mzkaye.com. Your next favorite book is just a click away. So now Erica is back with Michelle and they're living with Harold's cousin, LaWanda. Y'all, please keep in mind, Erica is just 3 years old. She's noticing the difference between living with her grandma Betty versus being in a room all day with her mama. And it didn't help that Harold had a very short temper. He was always pissed off because Erica wasn't listening to him. Like, fuck that. She was being a toddler, you dumbass. She was exhibiting typical toddler behavior. meaning she wasn't gonna just sit there and be seen and not heard. She's literally stuck in a room all day while you and Michelle out here getting high. Like, I hate that expression when it comes to children of the whole being seen and not heard because they're children. They're not puppets. They're not little figurines. They want to play. They want to interact. They want to have fun. But he expected her to just sit there. And he was constantly getting on Michelle about how to control her daughter. Oh, you need to get Erica. She pissing me off. She ain't listening to me. Like the girl would cry and he would just go off. Like, dude, she's a fucking toddler. Come on. But Michelle wasn't just letting him get away with his comments either. Like she told his mole rat looking ass, let me worry about my daughter. You got your baby right there. All right. This is my daughter. And he was like, well, you need to get your daughter then. Like that's blowing me. I'm sure that his infant daughter was crying. And so, that's how Michelle was looking at it. She's thinking, this is my child. You were cool with her being here. So what the fuck is the problem? And there were times that, he would be physical with Erica for absolutely no reason. So, needless to say, it didn't take long for Erica to realize that she was no longer in a happy environment. Now, they took her April 4th, 2001, but it wasn't long before Harold really started to show his true colors because literally that same month, like a couple of weeks later, Michelle is out and she comes home and she sees her daughter just standing in the middle of the floor. And she's like, Erica, baby, what you doing? And Erica's not really responding. And here comes Harold's grimace looking ass. He's high as hell and he's pissed off. And I told you she won't fucking listen to me. She not paying attention. She not listening. She not behaving. And Michelle is trying to, calm the situation down. She's telling Erica, baby, it's okay. Go lay down for mommy. Just go to bed. But Erica's being a toddler. So Michelle is trying to convince her to go to bed, but it's not really working. She's still crying. And then out of nowhere, Harold gets up and grabs Erica, grabs an ashtray, hits her with it. Then he kicks her so hard that she hits her head as she's falling to the ground and she just goes unconscious. Now, Michelle sees this. She sees her boyfriend kick her child. And she goes over to her when she sees that she's unconscious, like her eyes are rolling into the back of her head. It looks like almost like she's convulsing. And she picks her up and she takes her in the bathroom and she's like trying to splash water on her face in the tub and get her to wake up, but nothing is happening. And she's freaking out, like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do? And Harold, he's freaking the fuck out. This motherfucker was on PCP high as a kite. But of course, once he kicks her and sees that she's not waking up, that high wore off real quick. He's nervous and scared as shit watching Michelle try to wake Erica up, but ain't nothing working. So after a while, Michelle takes her baby and she goes back into the bedroom and she lays her back down on the floor. And, she's like cradling her and holding her and she's talking to her and she's like, come on, baby, you got to wake up. But again, nothing. She's not moving. But Michelle's not panicked for whatever reason. Nope. She's rocking Erica and she's singing, I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. Bitch, please. Erica is not waking up no matter what Michelle tries. So Michelle just leaves her there. She leaves her daughter on the floor for over 12 hours. Her and Harrell's ass is out, still looking for jobs, drinking, getting high, and everything, and don't even bother to check on the baby. And Lawanda's goofy ass is wondering where she is. And so she asks Michelle, she's like, well, where's Erica? And they just make up some bullshit, and Lawanda just takes them at their word. But she knows that Harrell has been beating Erica because she hears it. She can hear when he takes her in that room and is whooping her for no reason. The night that Harold kicked her, she heard it. But did she do anything about it? Nope. So at one point, Harold and Michelle, or Harrell and Michelle, try to feed Erica. Like they're thinking maybe she just needs to eat and that'll wake her up. So they try to spoon feed her. And of course, it didn't work because, duh, she's dead. But they think she's unconscious still. Who the fuck is unconscious that long? Really? Dumbasses. Eventually, reality kicks in and they realize that Erica is dead. And they're both looking at each other like, all right, what the hell we gonna do? And Harrell is telling Michelle, we can't call the police. I got warrants. And Michelle is like, nigga, what you mean? I got warrants too. So Harrell's thinking, okay, well, we got to figure out something because she can't just keep laying there. And the two Nimrods sit there and they think. and they decide to wait until it gets dark, and they come up with a bright idea to get rid of her body. They have this baby stroller that they were using, and they decided, let's put her in this and wait until it gets dark. And that's what they did. They waited until it was dark. They took Erica's body and they put it in the stroller. When it was dark enough, they didn't want LaWanda seeing them, so they climbed out the window and Harrell grabbed some hedge clippers on the way out. So they go a short distance to this little wooded area, and Harrell tells her, hey, let's take off her clothes. Let's take off our clothes too. That'll get rid of the evidence. So they take their clothes off, and then they stripped Erica of her clothes. So Michelle takes their clothes and she puts them in a bag and dumps them while Harrell takes Erica from the stroller. Now, although this is already disturbing, if this is getting to you, you might want to skip ahead by about, I'm going to say 10 to 15 seconds. So, yeah, Harrell takes Erica from the stroller, and then he takes the hedge clippers that he had grabbed from the house and he puts them to Erica's neck and then cuts her head off of her tiny body. When he's finished, he picks her body up, then basically hurls it into the woods. He picks her head up, puts it into a trash bag, ties it up, then puts that bag inside of another trash bag. And he also took the ashtray that he had hit her with and put that in there as well. He bags it all up, walks the bag to the church that was close by, and puts the bag in their dumpster. And this is where I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
cause nigga, why would you just throw the body like people don't walk through the woods? If your ass is walking through the woods and it's that close to the church, you don't think another person would do the same like you're doing? Like, come on, let's be smart here. You did all of that with the head, but just threw her body. But I'll get more in depth during Fair or Foul. So, anyway, they head back to Lawanda's house, and Michelle is asking him, well, what did you do with her body? And he tells her, oh, I tossed it in the trash over there at the church. And Michelle looks at this nigga like he's slow, because, well, he is. But she's like, nigga, are you serious? You can't leave that there. It's gonna start stinking, and then they gonna call somebody. You gotta move it. And he all mad and shit because she's trying to basically save his ass. But he goes back and he jumps in the dumpster to find the head. And when he finds the bag, he takes it into the woods near where he tossed her body. And he stuffs it inside of his tire, and they haul ass back to Lawanda's house. So they chilling up and, drinking and getting high and acting like Erica was there. But of course, Lawanda is asking questions. She's like, okay, where's Erica? I ain't seen her, in a couple of days. But Michelle had it handled. She's like, oh, she's not feeling good right now. So she back there laying down. But that little lie can only hold up but for so long because at some point the girl gonna have to come out the room. So I guess Michelle called herself being smart because after a few more weeks had gone by, she tells Lawanda, oh yeah, we took her back to Miss Betty. She was getting homesick, so we took her back. But then shit kind of gets shaken up for a minute when a missing persons case leads the cops to Lawanda's door. So on April 28th, 2001, the police get a silver alert for an elderly man that went missing. And supposedly, he had been seen around the woods, the same woods that Harrell and Michelle hid Erica's body. So the police go out to the woods and they're looking for this man, and it's like 6:45 in the evening. They're looking, and one of the officers, something catches his eye. So he calls his boys over and they go and they look and they walk up on Erica's decapitated body. And they are sick to their stomachs. They're like, oh, fuck, what the hell is this? They call out for forensics and they can see that whoever this baby is about 3 or 4. But they're like, okay, where's her head? Who would do something like this? Has there been any Amber alerts? They're asking all of these questions. The police start, looking through the neighborhood because they're figuring someone is missing their child. They even go to Lawanda's house and Michelle's ass opens the door and they're like, hey, there's a dead child here. We're trying to find the parents. Have you seen anything? And she was like, oh, well, yeah, she made up some crazy ass story about a random black man that looks suspicious. And so they're like, okay, they take that. She closes the door and goes on about her business like ain't shit happened. So the word has spread at this point about the decapitated child. And so it, made people start coming out to try to, help find her head. But there was this one volunteer, Billy Stegall. And well, homie was a little different. Like he was a little touched. He was a little mental, but he was respected. He had worked as a postal worker for many years and was a father himself. But like I said, homie was mental because he would hear voices all the time and claim to have these visions. So the cops were used to him because he had tried to help them with a couple of cases prior. But on this one, oh, he was right on the money. So it's May 1st, 2001. And since they found the body, the cops had taped off the area. Now, the reason cops do this is to let everyone know that this is an area that, is supposed to be investigated. But good old Billy Stegall had a different idea. And of course, with the search, there's all these reporters and whatnot out there. And so Billy sees them and he goes over to one of them and he tells them, "Hey, y'all should follow me because I can give y'all an exclusive." Now this man is on a cane, okay? Because he a little up in age, but he starts walking away from where the cops had roped off for everyone to look. And the reporter is like, we're supposed to be over there looking in that area. But Bobby is like, trust me, just follow me. And he walks them away from the area until they come up on this tire. And he sees this trash bag inside of it and he's poking it with his cane and he pulls it out and they open it and instantly flies are swarming out. The bag is inside of another bag and they open it and see baby Erica's little head. The reporter gets it all, and the cops and the community, for that matter, are looking at Bobby like, yeah, the fact that you went right to this is very suspect. Like, I would probably think the same thing. Like, all the places to search, and you go straight to it. Like, it's giving very much, I did it. So the police are like, all right, we need to look into him because how the hell he find that without even trying? So they're doing a background check on him. They're bringing him to the precinct, even looking in the man's, trash. And he's not really phased. He's been telling them that he has these premonitions. I mean, it really it wasn't really that far of a stretch. It just I guess, just look in the area of where her body was. Now, in the bag, they also found the ashtray that Harrell had used to hit Erica with. So the investigators send it to forensics, but it comes back clean. No DNA, no nothing. And now the cops are really puzzled because how the hell has nobody come forward to say that they're missing a 3-year-old? Like, we came out here for a silver alert and we found a corpse. You know what? Totally random, but I wonder if they ever found the missing man. Anyway, so a couple of days go by and it's now May 5th, and there's still no police reports or children reported missing. So people in the community decide that they're going to try to get the answers that they need. So they give Erica the nickname Precious Doe. And I mean, they really band together. They're knocking on doors, passing out flyers, radio ads, all of that. They create a memorial in Hibbs Park to commemorate where she was found, doing everything that they can to try to, find out who this little girl is. Meanwhile, Harrell and Michelle are living their life like ain't shit happened. Y'all want to hear some really sick shit? One of the communities had hosted a candlelight vigil for Erica, and Michelle's ass went. And not only did she go, but this heifer was out there passing out flyers talking about help find Precious Doe. Seriously, bitch? Ugh. In December 2001, the department and the community decide to have a proper funeral for Erica because obviously no one has come forward to claim her as their daughter yet. So they bury her at the Memorial Park Cemetery and promise to keep her name alive. Oddly enough, around the time that Erica was killed, Michelle becomes pregnant with her and Harrell's first child. And in January 2002, she gives birth to that child. So he and Michelle and his now 1-year old and infant are all moving around, getting drunk, getting high, and claiming to be looking for work, but really looking for drugs. And their family and friends, they're asking about Erica, but they just tell everybody, oh, yeah, she's with Miss Betty. And people just believe it. Again, all of her other kids are gone, so it makes sense, right? They think they're good because they told Lawanda that Erica was back, with Miss Betty, and they didn't stay in one place long enough. They're literally going from place to place. So it's not like people can really be suspicious because that's how they normally move. But after a while, certain people do start getting suspicious, like Harrell's cousin Lawanda. She hit up Michelle one day and she tells her that the picture of the dead girl that had been on the news looked like Erica. And Michelle plays it cool. She's like, "Girl, that ain't her. Erica's right here with me. I know that ain't her. Girl, she playing with that baby." And remember, they don't live with Lawanda anymore, so she doesn't have a way of knowing this for sure. Now, there was this martial artist named Alonzo Washington that had raised a little over $30,000 for, like, putting out newspaper ads and all of that to make sure that people remembered Precious and, didn't forget her. So it's like almost a year later, and Michelle and Harrell are back in Oklahoma. April 1st, 2002, the two go to the courthouse because Harrell has to see the judge about an assault charge. So that case ended up being rescheduled. And all of a sudden, Harrell tells her, "Baby, hold up. You know what? I love you, girl. And I mean, we got a kid together. You my ride or die. We ain't getting no younger, so we might as well do this. Let's get married." And Michelle, she's like, "Oh, I'm about to be a missus." And they get married at the courthouse. Michelle becomes Michelle Marie Johnson. But when they return, Poe Harrell, his ass ends up going to prison, not only for assault, but also for possession of stolen property and possession of a sawed off shotgun. They sentence him to 5 years in prison and he gets carted off. Michelle has moved on and is living life with her baby. But it's hard for her to, keep her lie straight about Erica. So she starts telling people, yeah, she's with this family member and that family member and all of that. But Harrell's grandfather, Thurman McIntosh, he wasn't buying it. See, for the last year since Erica was found, Thurman had been watching the news and seeing the stories about the baby. And it's just something that was in the pit of his stomach that was telling him that that girl that they had been showing on the news was the baby he had seen before with his grandson and Michelle. Now he's been keeping in touch with his grandson since he's been locked up, and on, one of their calls, Thurman calls him out and he was like, "Harrell, I'm looking at this baby and she look a lot like Michelle's daughter." Now see, at this point Michelle was staying with Thurman because Harrell is locked up. So she's staying with him for help. And so Thurman tells him, "Now, son, you got to come clean because I can't help you if you're not telling me the truth. Did y'all kill that baby?" And Harrell shocks the hell out of Thurman. He tells his grandfather, "No, grandpa, it was just an accident." Thurman heard that, and baby, he about jumped through the phone. "What you mean it was an accident?" And Harrell doesn't outright confess, but he lets his grandfather know, "Look, Michelle got something on me that can put me away for a very long time. I ain't trying to piss her off." And somehow Thurman gets his hands on the letters that Harrell would write Michelle. Now, I can only assume that, she was just leaving them out in the open. Who knows? But the letters seemed real suspect because it was alluding to Harold doing something. So Thurman starts calling the tip line and telling them what he knew, but no one really took him serious. And I mean, he was calling them, several times, but his story was always a little off. So I'm guessing that's why they didn't take him serious. July 16th, 2004, Harrell is released from prison and he and Michelle get right back on track, and Michelle gets pregnant with their second child. But him and Michelle, they're arguing all the time, more and more. And Michelle had no problem telling Harrell, "Watch what you say to me. I'm going to have your ass locked up, you baggy eyed bastard." I mean, she probably didn't call him baggy eyed, but if you see the pictures, he baggy eyed, that motherfucker. But Thurman is trying to get the cops to listen to him, but nothing's working. They just write him off as an elderly man that's getting confused. So Erica's body is dug up on July 15th, 2003, and sent to Louisiana, where they made a bust of her face. They were, trying to find a way to identify her in hopes that maybe now that there's more of a visual, somebody would come forward. So another year and some change passes, and it's now like April of 2005. Thurman is getting frustrated that no one is coming forward about this baby, and it's just something that he just can't shake. So he decides to contact that martial arts guy that raised the money, Alonzo Washington. So he calls and he speaks with him, and surprisingly, Alonzo listens. Thurman had seen his ad in the paper and saw where he was saying, like, hey, if you have any information, call. So he calls him and he tells him, I think I know who this little girl is. My grandson told me that he did something bad, and I believe they killed this little girl. This girl, I think this girl is Erica. And Alonzo's listening, and something tells him, all right, I think he's serious. Something tells him, I got to look into this. And so he calls the police and he tells them, hey, I've got this man that says he thinks he knows who this little girl is. I really think y'all need to hear him out. He said he's got DNA evidence and everything. See, Thurman had taken some of Erica's hair that Michelle had at one point cut off and placed into a Bible. Heifer want to be spiritual all of a sudden. Fuck out of here. Anyway, so he sent a picture of the baby. Well, at least he thought it was a picture of her. The picture was actually Erica's cousin, but he also sent the DNA, which was spot on. Psst. Hey, Raleigh, North Carolina. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Look no further than Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh. Located at 2511 Wake Forest Road, they have a fantastic selection of the latest Hyundai models just waiting for you. Their dedicated team is available to provide you with top notch service and unbeatable deals. And don't forget, ask for Tony McLaughlin. He's ready to help you find the perfect car for your needs. Visit Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh today, where quality meets affordability. That's Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh, located at 2511 Wake Forest Road. And tell them the infamous one sent you. On May 4th, 2005, the police go and meet with Thurman and they're asking him questions about what he knows about Erica. They tell him the DNA evidence was a match, and he tells them, well, then that's Erica Green. Let me take y'all to her mama. And he does just that. He takes them to Harrell and Michelle and the three kids that they now have together. So they tried to give him the reward money because, I mean, he did help them find out who this baby was, but he declines it and he tells them, listen, I'm old. I just wanted to see her death brought to justice. I couldn't leave this earth without knowing that she was identified. So the cops know that they couldn't, expect Michelle and Harrell to be honest. So they call Miss Betty in to come and identify the body. And she was just so devastated and so torn up. This was her special little baby. She didn't birth her, but, Erica was hers. And now she's just gone. So next, they notify Larry Green, which is Michelle's ex boyfriend and Erica's father. He's still in prison at the time, but he is just as hurt. He had never got to hold her, but he spoke so highly of that baby. And I mean, I get it because that's his daughter at the end of the day. He was hurting, especially when he found out that his baby mama is the reason why his own daughter is dead. Now, the good thing is both Harrell and Michelle were already both in jail from a prior warrant for their arrest. So the cops were more than happy to go to the two of them and let them know, yeah, y'all asses ain't getting out no time soon. So they went to Michelle first because they knew she would more than likely, be easier to crack because she had to have some type of maternal something in her for her child. And they wanted to, use that. So they show her a picture of Erica, and here come the waterworks from this crying ass heifer. That's my baby. That's my Erica. And she starts spilling everything about what happened. And she eventually writes on the back of the picture that they showed her, Mama is so sorry. You're always in my heart and soul. I love you always, little E. Yeah, okay. You sure as hell got a funny way of showing it. So the cops ask her, what happened the night Erica died? And Michelle begins to tell him, listen, it was Harrell. He just got so mad, and I was just trying to get her to lay down and go to sleep, but Harrell was just so mad. And he kicked her and he just kept kicking her. And then she just fell down and I couldn't wake her up. And they're like, so why didn't either of you call for help? And she tells them, I didn't know what to do. We both had warrants. We couldn't go to jail. Yeah. See how that worked out for you? Your ass ended up in jail anyway. But then this bitch gets bold and she asks them, can I talk to Harrell? Of all of the negroidial shit. Now, surprisingly, they said yes. I'm guessing because they wanted to see if, the two idiots would basically fuck up even more than they already had. And surprise, surprise, surprise. Of course they did. So they get Harrell and they put the two in the same room. And the way that Michelle should have been loving and caring with Erica, she was showing that with Harrell. And the investigators are watching all of this. Like she's holding his hand and she's rubbing her fingers through his nappy ass project grass hair. And she's talking all soothing to him, telling him, baby, it's time to come clean. You can't keep this in. It's time to come clean. And he starts shaking and shit like the fiend that he is. And he's breaking down. I didn't mean to do it. I didn't mean to kill her. Oh God, I'm so sorry. And I guess he wanted to be the martyr because he tells her, listen, baby, I'm gonna take the blame for everything so that none of this comes back on you. You ain't gonna get no time for this, Michelle, I promise. And Michelle was like, okay. She didn't stop him. Why the fuck not? She about to get away with it. So Harrell sits down in front of a camera and he confesses to everything. And he takes the blame for everything. He goes into great detail about how he killed Erica, how he decapitated her, and just threw her little body into the woods. The same way that Michelle wrote on the back of the picture, so did Harrell Squidward from SpongeBob Shaped Ass. He writes, I'm so sorry this happened, and I hope that you forgive me for what I've done. I will always love you with my heart and soul. Harrell LaRon Johnson. I will miss you always. Like, boy, fuck you. Now you want to show remorse? Talking like you just knocked a girl down or something. But that whole, oh, baby, I'm going to take the heat for everything. We just need to come up with a good story and put the blame on somebody else. Yeah, that didn't last too long. Because he told the cops it was Michelle's idea for me to dump Erica in the woods. Oh, and when Michelle heard that he snitched and put her in the shit, oh, she was hot. Oh, motherfucker, really? I didn't do nothing. I didn't know what was about to happen or what he was going to do. They started flipping on each other like Jordan Childs in the Olympics, honey. She the one that got Erica undressed, is what he told him. And then she's like, no, he got her undressed. So the cops is like, how about we gonna say that both of you dumbasses did it? So once they get the confirmation that they need that, the DNA is a match for Erica, Harrell is charged with first degree murder, endangering the welfare of a child, and abuse of a child that resulted in death. And good old wifey Michelle is charged with second degree murder, endangering the welfare of a child, abandonment of a corpse, and physical evidence tampering. On May 10th, 2005, the two idiots plead not guilty despite their confessions. Harrell was held without bond, and Michelle had a bond of a $500,000. It might as well have been $500. That ass still wouldn't have got out. So they extradited them back to Kansas City, Missouri. And baby, Miss Betty is just devastated. Like, once she finds out who did it, she's just like, how? How could Michelle and her husband be so evil? And then all the while, Harrell is in the jail sending Michelle's letters. Like at first it's all, baby, I love you. We gonna beat this. We just need to stand strong. We need to be united, one band, one sound. Okay, he didn't say that, but y'all get where I'm going with it. And, they keep writing each other, but Michelle's little sneaky ass is working with the DA. Like her ass was ready to flip on the Hamburglar husband. Okay. And once he realized that she wasn't united with him like he thought, because she slapped that ass with divorce papers, them loving little letters turned into bitch fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you. Make sure you tell him how you fucking help kill a hoe. You a dead bitch, I'ma fucking kill you, you dead. All of that. So Michelle's trial was supposed to be September 13th, 2007. But since she decided to work out a deal with the DA, she didn't have to worry about, going to court. Instead, she took a plea. She would get 25 years as long as she testified against Harrell's Black Herman the Monster looking ass. So, with that, she pleads guilty to second degree murder, child endangerment, abandonment of a corpse, and tampering with evidence. But even then, she pleaded and was testifying against Terrell. She had to verbally let the courts know that she blatantly ignored the fact that Erica needed help and left her there. Like they were like, listen, we're gonna give you this deal and everything, but you still need to confess to the courts what you did. And she did that. Now, her story was slightly different than Harrell's, and I think it was mainly because he was being charged with first degree murder. So he was doing everything in his power to throw some of the blame on Michelle, which, I mean, can you blame him? Your spouse serves you divorce papers and then flips on you. Hell yeah, I'm going to try to take your ass down with me. So another few weeks have gone by, and it's September 29th, 2008, and the prosecutors decided to charge Harrell with first degree murder, endangering the welfare of a child in the first degree, and abuse of a child resulting in death. Originally, they were seeking death penalty, but they took that away, and his trial started in October of 2008. Michelle did as promised, and she testified at Harrell's trial. Baby, she sang like If It Whites, and I am telling you. She told the jury how he was high on drugs and was drunk and was acting stupid. Then she told them how Harrell had kicked Erica in the head. They took the shackles off her feet. Come on, Mary, Mary. And she showed them exactly how he did it too when they took them shackles off. The prosecutors asked her, well, why didn't y'all get help? And she copped up to it. She was like, listen, we was on the run from the cops. We couldn't go to jail. I mean, clearly you going anyway, but okay. But she's boohooing and she's telling the jury, I just wanted her to be okay. I was asking God to let her live and to just take me. I just wanted to stop the pain. But she swears that after she took Erica's clothes off, she didn't have anything else to do with it and left. But then Harrell gets on the stand to testify, and his story is the exact opposite. He tells the jury that he only kicked Erica once and that he had never hurt her before that. She was my little angel. Nigga, please. But when the medical examiner gets on the stand, there's not much he can argue. So the way that they examined her body, there were multiple injuries to Erica. Like her face and her scalp had been severely damaged. They were consistent with multiple kicks to her head. So Harrell's argument was out the window. That poor baby had blood clots in her brain. Like just because she looked okay doesn't mean that she was actually okay. There was so much hemorrhaging that it's a wonder she survived as long as she did. Actually, had her raggedy ass mama gone to get help, she could have survived. All they had to do was call 911. They had a few people testify, like the neurologist and the medical examiner, and then Harrell's goofy ass, dumbass cousin Lawanda. She testified. This goofy bitch gonna tell the jury how she always heard Michelle and Harrell arguing, and how Harrell was always threatening Michelle that she needed to get Erica, yet she never bothered to step in and help her. Like you damn dingbat. Like Shawty girl really sat there and said, I knew it was bad and I heard this loud bang and I never saw Erica again. Girl, what? Like, silence is not always a good thing. So, after all the hemming and hawing and all the bullshit, Harrell was found guilty pretty much of everything that he was charged with. Michelle, of course, had her deal where she was given the 25-year sentence. And when she got a chance to talk, this little slack jawed wench, she tells the judge, when I close my eyes, I see it. I heard my daughter take her last breath. I just told her that I'm going to take care of her sisters and brothers and do what I can for them and what I couldn't do for her. I ask myself every day why. Why didn't I help her? That's a mother's instinct to protect her child. Why didn't I do what I was supposed to do for my child? Oh, I know the answer. Because your ass was stupid and dick dumb over busted rhymes. That's why. Fucking off with this dude and he killed your daughter. I honestly feel like she did some shit too. Like that heifer better be glad she took that deal because Shotty girl would be getting that $42 cocktail along with him. You hear me? Now, Harrell got what was coming to him, of course, life in prison without the possibility of parole for first degree murder, 25 years for child abuse resulting in death, and 4 years imprisonment and endangering the welfare of a child. And he had to serve them bitches consecutively, so that ass ain't never coming out. Not never. But of course, he decided to appeal based on the grounds that there was enough evidence to say that it was first degree murder. He was trying to convince the judge that it was more like impulse or a crime of passion. He said he didn't plan to kill her, but the judge was like, you can say you didn't plan to kill her, but when you kicked that little girl in the head and she was crying, you kept going, didn't you? When she lay there on the floor with her eyes rolling into the back of her head, not moving, you didn't help her get help, did you? What was your reason for that? What was the reason, Harrell? Huh?
What's the reason?
Ooh, Cardi, sis, I know exactly what the reason was. Because Harrell's dumbass had a warrant for his arrest, and rather than face the consequences and do a few months or maybe a few years, you left her there. And guess what? Your stupid ass still ended up in prison from the very thing you were running from in the beginning, dummy. And for that very reason, the judge said, nah, Pugsley with a tan, your appeal has been denied. So now, Harrell is inmate number 1185304 at the Jefferson City Correctional Center in Jefferson City, Missouri. And Michelle's loose hot pocket ass is inmate number 1169768 at the Chillicothe Correctional Center in Chillicothe, Missouri. Now you would think that the story is over, but no. See, Erica's daddy, Larry, he gets out of prison after his 10-year bid, and he decides that he's going to file a lawsuit against the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. Now, the lawsuit was based on the beliefs that the way that Erica was handled in the system could have been handled a lot better, like a lot differently. The fact that they just passed Erica off to Miss Betty and all she needed was an ID, and then she was, legally obligated to give Erica back to her biological mother without any type of background checks or follow ups or anything was insane. All Michelle had to do was pop up at the house and say, "Hey, give me my baby back." And that was it. And so Larry's argument is that there needs to be a better system as to how to handle children born into, the prison system and, to prevent them from experiencing what Erica did. And I mean, he ain't wrong. It's a valid point. But when the lawsuit was presented, you know what the Department of Corrections said? Listen, y'all gonna think I'm lying, but baby, I am so serious. They said, when it comes to situations like this, we don't do a damn thing. Baby, I about bugged the fuck out when I heard that. Like that came directly from the spokesperson of the Department of Corrections, Jerry Massey. Like the amount of shit that I'm gonna have to address in fair or foul, baby, if my mouth ain't been reckless already, whoo, it's about to be. Mm. Larry was fighting for his baby. And I guess you could say he won on both ends because the hospital where Erica was born, University of Oklahoma Medical Center, as well as DHS and the Department of Corrections, they said, listen, we ain't trying to have no more smoke. Let's change up some of these policies. So they put new policies in place to ensure children that are born to, incarcerated mothers are protected. And they named it Erica's Rule. Oh, that is so sweet. And Larry got an undisclosed amount of money too. So I know he was happy about that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the tragic story of Erica Michelle Marie Green, a life lost entirely too soon thanks to a fucked up system and two fucked up ass parents. And now it's time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing given was fair or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? Ooh, baby, I've been waiting all episode for this. I'm about to get in that ass. Let's start with Harrell's old English bulldog in the face looking ass. Life in prison plus 29 years? Absolutely fair. Hell yeah. And I hope that while you in there that your booty hole is getting stretched out more than Summer Walker's vagina, you trifling motherfucker. I hope that it's raw and full of disease. Like you so stupid to hurt an innocent child. You knew Michelle wanted to be a mother again and bring that baby with y'all. You had a child of your own that you were taking care of. Like how did you think that children act like when they're 3 and 4? You do realize that toddlers don't just sit stoic, right? They want to move and play. If you knew she was getting to be too much, man the fuck up and tell your girl, listen, hey, she need to go back to Miss Betty's. Or tell her you gotta go because I can't deal with it. Instead, you sat there and you basically abused a girl that wasn't capable of fighting back, that was just being a child and being herself. She wasn't doing nothing wrong. Okay, so she didn't want to go to bed. Big deal. You know how many times I've told my toddler to go to bed and he looked at me like I was crazy or laughed and ran his little bobblehead, big footed self off to another room? But that don't mean I'm going to sit there and kick him in the head. That don't mean I'm going to kill him. Like for you to sit there and go that far, yeah, you absolutely deserve life in prison with no parole. That was absolutely fair. In all actuality, your ass deserves that $42 cocktail. I agree with what Miss Betty said, a life for a life. And she from the old school, baby. She go to church faithfully on every Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and whatever. So for her to have that mindset of, all right, you took a life, you lose a life, I 100% agree with that. I wish that they would strap your ass down to that damn table or whatever and give your ass that $42 cocktail that you so deserve. But instead, you'll live the little cushy life in prison. I mean, I shouldn't say cushy, but you get what I mean. Looking for unique, personalized gifts that stand out? Look no further than Trinity's Treasures, also known as 478 Customs. Listen, it's obvious I'm sipping from one of their incredible tumblers right now, and I can tell you, they're not just functional, they are fabulous. From custom t shirts to stylish trucker hats, dazzling jewelry, and even refurbished Nikes. Trinity's Treasures has something for everyone. Parents, need a thoughtful gift for your kids' teachers or a back to school bag for your kiddos? They've got that covered too. And guess what? They're a verified Houston County vendor. Plus, they offer discounts for military personnel, first responders, and y'all know how I feel about first responders because hello, nurses, educators, schools, nonprofits, and bulk orders too. So text 478 205 9472 or join their Facebook group 478 Customs. Tell them K sent you and get ready to be amazed by the most incredible personalized gear. Trinity's Treasures, where your treasures come to life. But what baffles me is that you went through all this shit to avoid jail time for some shit that you got caught up in anyway. When you went to court to try to fight the charges and your dumb ass got locked up and had to do them 2 years, that's the shit that you was so called trying to avoid. So you still ended up going to jail for the very same thing that you were trying to run from when you killed her in the first place. You did them 2 years. Like clearly, them 2 years didn't mean shit because you was back out on the streets. You could have been on the streets with Erica, but you fucked that up. And that's what pisses me off so bad. Then, oh, wait a minute, you got Michelle's raggedy ass. Bitch, you let this motherfucker kill your daughter. Y'all both getting high as fuck all the time. You left this nigga and left him to kill your daughter, and then you turn around and marry this motherfucker. And because of the fact that you knew you was wrong, because of the fact that you knew that your ass was also facing life, you was quick to flip on your motherfucking husband. You was quick to file them divorce papers. Them papers should have never been filed because you shouldn't have never married a motherfucker that killed your daughter. Stupid. I wish the fuck I would sit here and marry a nigga that put his motherfucking hands on my kid. You kill my kid or you kill my kid or even touch my kid, nigga, I'm killing you. That's just how it go. But instead, you sat there and helped this nigga. Then, when y'all asses is in the interrogation room, the shit that tripped me out is you sitting up there coddling him and cuddling him and shit, and you snitched on the nigga anyway. Like your ass didn't do shit to her. I'm pretty sure that Harrell was right when he said that you were doing, stuff to her as well, like leaving her in the room by herself with nothing. I can believe that. Both of y'all was just a trifling, raggedy ass Bonnie and Clyde, or better yet, a cracked out ass Bonnie and Clyde. You was telling so many lies, you couldn't keep them straight. And that's fucking disturbing as fuck at the fact that you went and popped out three motherfucking babies for this nigga. You had three kids for him. I'm wondering where the fuck they are because clearly they ain't being raised by their daddy or their mama. I'm hoping that, they're off somewhere safe now because at the very minimum, they're damn near 18 at this point, seeing as how y'all were caught and imprisoned in 2008. Most of them, if you were having them back to back like that, which just seems like you were, most of them are damn near 18. It's got to be a shame to know that you got two fucked up ass parents, and hopefully, it's a situation where they were put into the system like the other children were and have an opportunity to be raised by better parents. And it's sad for the other children because they're older. They're adults now. They can look back and know that they mama ain't shit. As for Larry, I hope that, he has a relationship with the children that he had with Michelle. But it's just sickening to know that you could be with a man that could do something so heinous to your child and not even think about it. Like Larry is strong because I would be choking that bitch out. Understand? The fact that you helped this man bury your own child is sick. It's disturbing. I have no sympathy for any bitch that will put a nigga above her child. Like at the end of the day, you don't deserve to be called a mother. At the end of the day, you deserve to have your children taken away when you do shit like that. And then you give some half ass apology after the fact, and that's only because you got caught. You continue to live your life like didn't shit happen. You better be glad all you got was 25 years. On that, I call foul as fuck because your ass shouldn't have been able to make a plea deal at all. If I would have been the prosecutor, I would have just flat out told your ass, nah, bitch, you gonna do fucking life with your nigga. How about that? That case was strong enough to where they didn't need to make a deal. Larry, I really hope that, you're able to turn your life around. I don't know, you know, where you are right now, I'm hoping that you're serious when you were talking about the things being changed for, children that are born into the prison system later on. Hopefully you didn't fuck off that money that you got. Hopefully you have a relationship with your children, because seeing that their own mother is a killer, they need some type of parental something. I know that, they were placed into the system and some of them went into foster care. I don't even know if they know who you are, but if they do, I hope that you have that relationship with them. I know he's probably regretting the fact that, he even met Michelle, for all I know, but I hope that you can salvage some type of relationship with your kids. Oh, but then one of my biggest issues is the fucking system itself. To hear a representative from the Department of Corrections say, we don't do a damn thing about it, like, it's one thing to not give a fuck about the inmates, but a fucking child, a baby, a newborn that's innocent, y'all talking about, we don't do a damn thing about it, like you have no remorse. She birthed the child while in your care. That should tell you exactly what the fuck the criminal justice system is really about. That should tell you exactly how the fuck they really think about human lives. Yes, Michelle is trash. Don't get it twisted, because she killed her own child, or, at least helped in hiding the body. But before then, she was a mother. She gave birth to this child. It's called human decency, you jackasses. It's called giving a fuck. Hell, it's called doing your damn job. You sat there and said to the people, we don't do a damn thing about it, which means it ain't my problem. And that's truly sad, because now this little girl is gone. And God only knows how many other children were born into the incarceration system that you basically felt the same way about. There needs to be a different way of how things are handled. And considering that this happened back in like 1998, I'm hoping that since then that the whole Erica's rules has actually been implemented and is being put into place and actually being used. I'm hoping that the Department of Corrections has a completely different way of how they handle children born into the prison system. Y'all might as well have just left, let her have the baby and then dropped her off at the damn fire station. She probably would have had better luck there. That's why shit is so fucked up for so many people. Then then Betty came in with her ID and a piece of paper that she had to sign. One piece of paper. It said nothing about, hey, we're gonna, investigate her when she gets out. We're gonna have her go through a program to get her ready to be a parent again. It just said, sign this shit that says that when this bitch get out, she can come and get her kid. And then when she needed secondary identification, y'all accepted a fucking Sam's Club card. What the fuck is that? Seriously? Y'all didn't bother to do a background check, background check, excuse me, I'm stuttering. Woo. Y'all didn't bother to do a background check on her, nothing. Not to say that, Betty is a bad woman, because she literally was an angel taking care of that baby and she was a mother figure to that baby. But the fact that nothing was done, at the very least, when Michelle got out of prison, that's when it should have been some type of communication and interaction between Betty and Michelle. Instead, you tell her, hey, sign this piece of paper that says when Michelle is out, she can come and just pick her baby the fuck up. Like she wasn't doing drugs in prison. Like shit ain't bad in prison. Like she won't turn around and fuck up when she gets out, because clearly she fucked up when she met Harrell. But instead of having some type of system put into place that would verify that she can even be a good mother, once she's out, y'all are just like, all right, it ain't our problem, but it is your problem. DHS should have been involved. DHS should have been doing follow ups. DHS should have been doing check ins to see, Michelle, what type of environment are you going to have your child living in? How are you shacked up with another convicted felon and trying to be a mother? How is this possible that you two are going to be able to raise a baby with no job? Because remember, the whole point of them taking Erica and moving to Missouri is because they didn't have jobs and they were claiming that they were moving for work, which they never fucking found. All they did was get high. I don't even know how they were able to afford drugs and shit. Like 9 times out of 10, he was probably getting assistance for this baby that he had. And I'm wondering where that mother was. Was it another situation where she was locked up like Michelle had been? Like this entire situation was fucked up. Erica didn't deserve to die. Erica was a sweet 3-year-old little girl that just wanted to live with her foster grandmother. You should have left her the fuck alone. The fact that you got 25 years, Michelle, that don't sit right with me. I wish your ass would fucking rot, because at the end of the day, you get to get out and still enjoy your life. At the end of the day, you get to get out and, hell, for all we know, possibly pop out more babies. I pray the fuck not. But you get to get out and get the opportunity to try to have a relationship with your children. And you on this whole, I know what I did was wrong and all of that. But you knew that then and you didn't try to stop it. Hell, you tried to loom it over that nigga's head whenever he would get buck with you. Whenever he pissed you off, you was quick to tell him, "Oh, don't make me go to the police," threatening him. If you was really serious about that, it shouldn't take him pissing you off to do it. Take your monkey ass to the police and let them know what the fuck happened. But you didn't want to face them consequences. That's what it was. That's what it boiled down to. This entire situation is just fucked up and it angers me because I see so many women that put niggas above their kids. I see so many women that choose themselves over their children and it pisses me the fuck off. I get it. As moms, we want to be selfish sometimes. But the minute that you pop a baby out of your hot pocket, the minute that you hear you're pregnant, the minute that you see that baby, you know that there are sacrifices that have to be made. There's choices that you have to make. And if you make the wrong choice, there are consequences. Case in point. And in this case, you should have just let somebody else raise your child. You should have left her where she was happy. But because this nigga had his baby, you felt like you had to one up him. And then, even after knowing that he killed your daughter, you trusted him enough to have three fucking children by him. That's fucking crazy to me. Mothers, we got to do better. I say we, not saying that all of us are fucked up because we're not, but just in a general sense, we got to do better. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. And that's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group. But please be advised, if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. People, it's almost 2 years later and I'm still saying that. But yeah, just, once you get in there, come on in, take a seat, chop it up, tell us what you're sipping on, all that good stuff. We have lots of fun. We make posts, laugh, joke, all of that good stuff. So come on in. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, of course, and so on and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews matter. And now to those reviews. The first one comes from Spotify from Winter KSM. It's on the Justice Delayed episode, and it says, "Hi, Kay. I listen to your show every day and always look forward to the next. However, let me just say, as a woman who only dates older men, nothing was ever wrong with my self esteem, just didn't feel boys my age could offer me anything. And there's a difference between pedos and statutory rapists. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. I'm pissed it took this young woman years to get real justice at the hands of another woman being hurt. Keep doing your thing." Okay. Thank you, dog. I appreciate it from my day ones. I know Winter KSM is one of my day ones. Like, I need to hear stuff like that right now to keep me going. I truly appreciate it. I will say though, yes, there is a difference between, pedophiles and statutory rapists. Like my thing was she was 16 dating somebody that was in their 20s. That should have never happened. That should not have been allowed, period. She was younger, flat out. And so for her to be with someone that was so much older, that was a no. The next review comes from Apple Podcasts from Unapologetically Neek. It says, "I love you and your podcast. Ever since I heard about your podcast, I've been binging every episode. I love how you break down each story. I love how you put your own spin on the episodes as well. Also, thank you for accepting me into the Facebook group. Keep doing what you do, okay?" Aw, damn, man. Y'all trying to make a chick cry for real. Thank you so much for the love, like for real. Keep binging, baby, because I'm gonna keep pushing. I can't stay down. Like that shit sucks. Y'all are really motivating me with these for real. Just a couple of announcements real quick. I told y'all that I had some things to address. First and foremost, I have to talk about the missing ones. So, due to the low streams, I am going to switch it from every week to every other week for the time being, just so I can see how it does numbers wise. So you'll still get the infamous ones every week, but when it comes to the missing ones, it'll be every other Saturday. So it'll be returning Saturday, September 20th, which I believe is this Saturday. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing that. I'm hoping that once the streams pick up number wise, I can go back to weekly. I just didn't want to keep, it's a lot of research that goes into these episodes, both for both podcasts. So my thing is, I don't want to be doing so much research and, trying to hurry up and get the episodes written each week and they're not hitting the numbers that they need to hit. So, right now it's going to be every other Saturday. Another thing I'm trying to decide about is this whole sponsor thing. With having sponsors, they have a say in things because, they front the money. But I am trying to determine how I want to proceed because honestly, some of the things that they're, discussing, I don't agree with. And I probably will be looking for a new sponsor because the way that they want to do the tour, for example, and how I want to do it are completely different. Like, I really want to show who the Infamous Ones is. And I'm trying to figure some things out. So, stay tuned on that because I want to focus on Black true crime. And yes, there's true crime everywhere, but I want to keep it Black true crime and not generalize it. So, y'all just stay tuned on that. Um, all right. So, I want to be very transparent with you all right now. Typically, I'm transparent with you all anyway, but the last few weeks I have really been battling with myself and just trying to get back to me. It's been a lot mentally between the shows, the sponsors, the tour, and, all of that. I've been battling a lot, but unfortunately, it's gotten worse. Many of y'all know I spent months planning my wedding and, was supposed to have this fairy tale day and all of that. And, I was married for a good minute before the wedding had happened. Not a lot of people knew that, but I was already married before my actual wedding. Unfortunately, now I am in the process of getting a divorce. It's not necessarily something that, I'm happy about. Definitely not something that was planned. But unfortunately, things happened, and I am now trying to find ways to deal with the hurt and everything. We as women sometimes pretend like everything is okay when we know it's not because we don't want to be embarrassed or talked about or, seen in a negative light. But at some point, you got to step out in your truth and just face reality. You know, and it became a moment where I was slightly depressed because I was bottling everything in. Like I have my therapist and, a lot of people, oh, well, don't tell people your business, which I don't, you know. I won't go into the details of why I'm getting a divorce, but it's like I said, it's something that I'm dealing with right now. And it became very depressing because, this was somebody I thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with, and I don't wish any ill will. I'm not like, oh fuck this nigga, all of that. Like at the end of the day, I want him to be happy. I want him to find what really truly makes him happy. And, unfortunately, it didn't work, but I am getting back to the okay. I'm recentering thanks to my therapist and prayer, of course. I've been having a lot more conversations with God lately, and that has been really, effective for me. I'm getting back to the old me. So, I appreciate those that have reached out and I kind of want to address that as well. I know some of you that listen to the show are Facebook friends with me, and sometimes you'll send me messages, even if we're not Facebook friends. And don't get me wrong, I do appreciate it. I don't want you to feel like I'm just blatantly ignoring you, but right now I'm healing, and I'm one of those that when I'm healing, I don't talk to nobody. Like if you're not a close friend, I don't talk. And hopefully, y'all can understand that. And if you don't, sorry, not sorry. But people have to understand nobody wants to keep repeating what happened over and over and over again. And then honestly, sometimes people are just nosy. Like people will ask me, oh, what happened? What's wrong? And I don't know them from a can of paint, honey. I don't know them from Adam. So you will be left on red. It's not me being funny. It's just me protecting me. So yeah, with that being said, y'all know why stuff has been a little flaky for a minute, but I am snapping back, okay? Don't worry. Your girl is resilient. I'm strong. I'm going to be okay. On another note, Saturday, September 20th, I will be at Nubian Bookstore located at 1540 South Lake Parkway in Morrow, Georgia. You might as well say Atlanta. Make sure that y'all come out and check your girl out. I'm going to have some books, of course, available for purchase that will be autographed. Also, don't forget, I will be hosting an exclusive virtual show Black Friday. So y'all know Black Friday is the Friday after Thanksgiving. I'm gonna host that at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tickets are gonna be $20 and they will go on sale October 1st. This is something new that I'm trying. Okay. Remember, I told you guys on the last episode that the sponsors decided to go ahead and cancel the October show because of the low ticket sales. Honestly, I'm really thinking of just doing something myself where I just rent out a small venue. Um, like January of 2026. If you're in the Facebook group, then you've seen the poll where I'm asking certain cities. I'm thinking of doing this where I just, pay out of pocket, get a small venue, pay a couple of $100 and everybody can come out for free admission, for those that are local or, even if you fly out, come out for free admission. Now it won't be like the one in Atlanta where, we did it at the restaurant and everything. I'm still going to possibly have a mobile bartender there where you can still purchase drinks and, get your little sip on or whatever and just really kick back. I'm really thinking about doing that because I don't want to lose focus on what the Infamous Ones is and kind of, for lack of better words, whitewash it. I really wanted to stay on black true crime and really, talk about us and talk about things that in the community that we experience. So I'm thinking that I'm going to do something like that where I just do it myself, but like I said, we shall see. Stay tuned on that. Nothing set in stone. The Infamous Ones is currently offering sponsorship packages. Sponsorship packages start at $100 a month, where your business or organization is mentioned in every episode each week. So, if interested in a package, make sure to email me at infamous1pod@gmail.com. Or if it pertains to the missing ones and you have a case suggestion, you can email the missing ones podcast at gmail.com. Remember, if you need to reach me pertaining to something that is podcast related, please email or message the Mobbers group. Because when I see messages like that in my personal inbox, like I don't check my messenger on the regular. So I'm not going to see it until days later. So for future reference, if you see I don't respond to your message, it's because you messaged the wrong account. You can contact me through the website as well. The website is theinfamousones.com. If you want to support the show or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor we've been sipping on, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. You can also donate via Cash App at $infamous one pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward court documents, interviews, phone calls, etc., etc. Shout out to those that still donate for the snacks. Appreciate that. If you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space or sponsorship, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. Once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day and it means the world. So keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next week with a new episode. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.